On October 21st, 2007, in a game where the Tennessee Titans traveled down to face off against the Houston Texans, the unsung hero of the football team, the kicker for Tennessee, Rob Bironas, hits 8 field goals during the game, helping lead his team to victory and setting the record for the most field goals ever in a game. Today we're going to dive into how Rob was able to do this and how he made it to this point on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide, as you daily learn more about sports history, increasing your sports knowledge. And today's trivia question to listen out for is, what NFL team first signed Rob Bironas? Now, if you played fantasy football in the mid-2000s, then you probably know who Rob Bironas is, as his name was commonly used for fantasy football names, as his last name Bironas sound like my Sharona, and punny names in fantasy football is all the rage. But it took Rob a long time to make it to the NFL, and it was a dream of his that he did one day achieve. And actually, most NFL kickers have a long, tiresome journey to make it to the field and a challenge to keep it, as kickers in football are one of the most scrutinized players on the team and the easiest to love when they make their field goals and hate when they miss. So Rob grew up in Kentucky, just outside Louisville, and he was actually a 4-time letter winner in soccer, and actually lettered twice in football and swimming, as well as lettering 1 year in track. And he graduated in 1996. Where he didn't get any scholarship offers, but he walked on to Auburn's football team in 1997, where he played there until 1999. And he ended up being a semifinalist for the Lou Garza Award in 1998 for the best kicker in the nation, after he made 12 of his 16 field goals, and 2 of them being from 49 yards. And he also made all 18 PAT kicks and led the Auburn team in points with 54. So you would think, you have this kicker, he's doing great. He's one of the best kickers in the nation. You're all set at kicker for the next year. But head coach Tommy Tuberville actually had some falling out with Rob. And even though Rob was an all-SEC preseason kicker for the team, he decided to have their punter, Damian Duvall, take over kicking duties. And in doing this, Rob didn't want to give up his chance to actually kick his final year. So he transferred to Georgia Southern so he could play his final year. Because at the time, if you transferred to another Division I school, you had to wait a year before you could play. But if you went down a level in NCAA, you could play right away. So he went down to the FCS, or at the time, Division I AA, to play for Georgia Southern, where his brother actually was on their soccer team, to finish out his final year of college eligibility. And it was a perfect time, as he helped them win the national championship in the Division IIA, finishing out his career on a high note. So after his college career was over, he started to try out for a few teams. And this is actually not uncommon, even at small schools. I coached at a Division III school, and we even had a few teams come out to try some of our players out. In 2022, he would actually get signed by the Green Bay Packers as an undrafted free agent. Now, for kickers to get drafted, it's very uncommon. You have to be one of the better kickers in the country, but you also just have to have great skill. It's very hard to get drafted as kicker. Kickers have a hard life. Lots of kickers have to try out. And it is one of the few positions in the NFL that gets cut and picked up, signed. Kickers bounce around more in the NFL now than ever because it's a difficult skill and it's pass or fail as a position. You either went in or you didn't. You don't really have a gray area. It's he made it or he missed it. And so it's very difficult. And so even though he got signed by the Packers and went through their training camp, he was released before the season started, which is not uncommon. Lots of teams sign at least 2 kickers for their preseason and then end up cutting one before the season. So there's competition for their kicker. Very common in the NFL. So what he does is he goes and joins the Arena Football League, which was a league that we will have to cover in the future, but it is a kind of a minor league football where it's done in arenas, done in basketball arenas, so the field is smaller and the goals are smaller, including the goalpost. As the NFL has the uprights 18 feet 6 inches apart. So quite wide overall. But in the AFL, or the Arena Football League, they have their dimensions of the field are shrunk a lot, and so are their field goals. And so the field goal for AFL are only 9 feet apart. So it's very hard. So he signed with the Charleston Swamp Foxes and made 12 of 27 field goals during that season. Not a very good rate if you were in the NFL with that larger space, but it's not bad for the AFL. And in the 2003 offseason, he got signed by Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got released again, went back to the AFL, did this again, got signed by the Steelers, got released again, went to the AFL. He kept doing this over and over. And he said if he didn't make it to the NFL, an actual NFL season, by the time he was 28, he would give up. It was a good thing he did this. It gave him a goal. It gave him time to keep trying. And in 2005, he signed as an unrestricted free agent with the Tennessee Titans, where he actually made it through the whole preseason and was officially signed to the team. And that first season, he converted 23 of 29 field goals for a 79% field goal rate and made 30 of 32 extra points. And at that time, the extra point was moved closer, where they snapped the ball at the 2-yard line. And so it was a lot easier than it is now. But he used this to continue to gain more of his confidence. And in 2006, he actually hit a 60-yard field goal versus the Indianapolis Colts, which is tied for the 8th longest in NFL history. Now, currently, the record for the longest field goal is 66 yards, done by Justin Tucker in 2021. But at the time when Rob hit this field goal, the record was 62 yards. So he was just 2 yards shy of the all-time record. In 2017, he was in a groove. And even in October, he was named AFC Player of the Month, where he hit 13 out of 14 field goals, made all his extra points, and the Tennessee Titans went 3-1 that month. Now, one of the reasons he had such a great month was what happened on October 21st, 2007, in a game versus the Houston Texans at Reliance Stadium in Houston. Now, this was just a divisional game between the Titans and Houston. They play each other 2 times a year. Nothing unusual about it, a divisional rivalry. But Rob was going to do something very different. He was going to set a record. Coming into the game, Houston was 3-3, and the Titans were 3-2. So two very evenly matched. So the game starts, and Tennessee Titans had a pretty good offense for the day. Now, just because you hit field goals instead of getting touchdowns does not mean you have a bad offense. It means you were good enough to get close to kick a field goal. So they start out, the first, Rob Bironas hits a 52-yard field goal. So they take the lead, but the Texans come back and score a touchdown off a fumble. So the Texans have the lead, and Rob comes in to end the quarter as the Titans stall out close to the goal line, and he kicks a 25-yard field goal. And then starts the second quarter, and they stall out again near the goal line, and he kicks a 21-yard field goal, giving them the lead 9-7. Then the Titans are able to score a rushing touchdown, and Rob kicks an extra point. Then again, Rob kicks a 30-yard field goal, and then as time expired at the half, he kicked a 28-yard field goal. So in the first half, he had 5 field goals and an extra point, accounting for 16 of the team's 22 points in the first half. And they had the lead as they were winning 22-7, a very dominant lead. And they came out in the second half, again like they had been coming out, as Rob hit a 43-yard field goal. And then they scored another touchdown where Rob kicked an extra point. So at this point, it was 32-7. The Titans are rolling. It is almost a blowout. But the Texans do not give up as they go and score back-to-back touchdowns. And the Titans almost score again, but they fail to punch it into the end zone, and Rob has to kick a 29-yard field goal. And then the Texans go and score 2 more back-to-back touchdowns, making it 36-35. The Titans are now down and have to go on a final drive in order to even win the game. But luckily, they know they only have to get into field goal range, as Rob had been on fire. At the time, he had tied the record for the most field goals in the game with 7. And if they got in his range, he could get the record. And Vince Young led the Titans down a drive, getting them into field goal range as Rob hit a 29-yard field goal, setting the record as time expired and giving the Titans the win. So everyone was cheering for him at this moment. He was a star of the day. And it wasn't because he had to kick these long field goals. He kicked one field goal over 45 yards. All his field goals were close. His offense was having a good day. They just couldn't finish it. And because he was consistent and made all his field goals, they were able to win the game. If he would have missed one, they would have lost. That's how it was. He was that good. That's why he was the AFC Player of the Month. And he would go on to finish the season, help leading the team to a 10-6 record, making it to the playoffs, and being named an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler for the first time. And following that season, he would get a $1.4 million contract for 1 year. And again, he was successful that year too, and he got another contract in 2009, which was a 4-year deal worth $12 million and had $5 million guaranteed. He had reached his dream that he decided not to give up on, and it was now paying off. He would continue to kick for the team until 2013 when he retired after being released by the Tennessee Titans, which unfortunately, but he had made enough money to retire on and enjoy life. He had gotten married to Rachel Bradshaw, who is the daughter of Hall of Fame quarterback Terry Bradshaw. And they got married in 2014 as he had just retired the year before, as he was retired, married, and then on September 20th that same year, he would die in a car crash where he lost control of his car and swerved off the road, flipping several times and hitting several trees, and ended up being pronounced dead at the hospital. And sadly, this was due to him having a blood alcohol level almost 3 times over the legal limit, leaving behind his wife and his legacy and his life. A sad way to end an otherwise great fought-for life. And if you want to learn more about the Tennessee Titans, check out Tennessee Titans Weekly, where hosts Lorenzo and Jacques take you through all that's gone on with the Tennessee Titans that week, helps you prepare for the games, what happened previously in the games, and what are they thinking. Great place if you're a fan or want to grow your knowledge. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe wherever you are at so you do not miss a single episode. And come back tomorrow for more daily sports history. And did you catch the answer to today's trivia question? What NFL team first signed Rob Bironas? And that answer is the Green Bay Packers, even though he never played for them and only played in the NFL for the Tennessee Titans.